Everyone, hello. Nice to see you. Hello, Zoe. Hey, Zoe. Amna. Hello, Amna. John. Esther. Hey, Esther. Doug. Hello, Doug. Gloriana. Hola, Gloriana. Hi, George. Nice to see you. So, if we can turn our attention to ourselves as we are, things as they are, the world as it is, the universe as it is, everything as it is, simply be with all of it, remain as you are. No need to touch it, no need to fix it, no need to understand it, nothing to figure out, no need to pursue anything. It is possible to simply be the beingness, the presence, God's presence, the presence of consciousness, the reality of being without dividing yourself into the personal self, into somebody. Whenever you refer to yourself as somebody, you're creating the 1,000 things, the 10,000 things. Effortlessly, you are this presence, effortlessly. Everything is unfolding as this presence, as awareness. There are no mistakes. Be yourself. Know yourself. Feel yourself. As this borderless awareness, this infinite, invisible reality. There is no way around it. It is that which is. There is no other isness, no other eternity, no other beingness, no other reality, but the reality of presence, consciousness, beingness, which has no name and no owner and no limitation. It is as this aware presence that all is well. The illusion is that I am born, that I am a woman, a man, a person, or whatever. That's a storyline that we believe and that we maintain and we sustain. Throughout most of our life. But it's not true. Truth is not variable. Truth is not uncertain. The only certainty is the certainty of awareness. Everything else is fleeting, like the movement of the breath or the sound of the wind or raindrops. You have to go to home base. The assumption that I am somebody, see through that fallacy. It is as this somebody that you separate yourself and you judge and feel judged. And this process of judgment maintains you as a separate self, maintains your storyline, creates a web, a very complex cocoon that you find yourself enmeshed in and stuck in. Feeling unappreciated, unloved, wronged. By others who are full of flaws. They don't understand you, they don't appreciate you. Could be your father, your mother, your brother, sister, an old friend or a neighbor. And then we feel the emotion, the unhappy emotion that we try hard to get rid of by repeating to ourselves and to others how wronged we've been. How unjust the world or so and so has been to us. We accuse others and speak negatively about others, and hoping that somehow this will free us from the unhappiness of separation. This unhappiness that is the result of mistaken yourself to be a person, somebody. Oftentimes, rather than looking at this belief which is available to us to look, we'd rather work hard on justifying our point of view, rallying support, seeking approval. We overlook that all this effort is to polish an image which somehow feels so important to us, feels vital. This image must be appreciated. How come? The image that I am is not being loved and recognized, how worthy it is. We believe and we feel that when a lot of people agree with us, then that's a good thing. We feel secure as somebody, but there's no security for somebody. It's an illusory security for an illusory being. You work so hard to justify yourself, defend yourself, without noticing that that's what you're doing. All sorts of thoughts arise for you to rally, to fortify your position. As what? Your position. As what? Dividing yourself, dividing the world in right and wrong. Of course, I'm right and somebody out there is wrong. And it spins and spins. Could be about my father, my mother, my brother, my sister. Then it's about my neighbor, and my boss or my government, the battle goes on, internal and external, internally and externally. At the core of this division is the sense of separation, the feeling of lack and incompleteness that's somehow lurking in the basement, the belief that something somehow can help me. Me being what? What I believe myself to be, what I feel myself to be, what I assume I am. Then I'm concerned about what does the neighbor think about me. How do they like me? And I also become consumed by my image about them. We do that. And somehow we get some pleasure out of that. It's like a bittersweet. It's bitter because it's unhappy and untrue. And it maintains me somehow. It maintains something rather than nothing. Something, some activity, something happening. As long as something is happening, then I am because something is happening. Is that true? Is that true? Is presence, awareness dependent on something happening? All of that is available to us to look into, to see through it, to see through the veil, the storyline that somehow we feel is so important and so significant, more significant than the peace of being. but it doesn't deliver the goods. You may be right today, surrounded by supporters and people who love you. And the whole thing flips over the day after. We don't know. There's no security in the world, body, mind impressions. Only in that which is real will you find that which is real. Only in and as the reality of consciousness. Borderless, formless, infinite, eternal, universal. The reality that is, that perceives this moment right now. Only in that which is real will you find that which is real. In the illusory, the illusion is maintained. Okay, so if you have any questions, anything you would like to share or explore, please unmute your mic, and if you turn on your video, we can see each other. So any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Anna.
So I have a lot of conditioning around family and attachment to family and obligation to family and tolerating whatever behaviors come from your family because they're your family and you gotta stick together. And I'm just recently have been becoming more aware of that conditioning and how it gets in the way of freedom and happiness, and I wanted to hear if you could say something about that.
Yeah. In a way, we have or had that in common. You know, I come from the same tradition. Maybe many of us do in a way. I mean, in a way, it's like a balancing act, because here you are in a certain family environment with certain conditions, certain expectations, certain roles already established. And at the same time, there is a complete freedom, the freedom that one could say that is God-given, the freedom that we all have. And so sometimes there are expectations in the family and conditions in the family that come from ignorance. They come from old established ways of behaving and relating. Like I remember in my upbringing, the father was God on earth in a way, I was brought up with that. And of course, your mother, you honor your mother. But the father was. And yet, I found myself going against my father at a certain point in my youth, because somehow I couldn't agree, accept, or allow certain behaviors. It was very painful internally. It was as if something was being torn within myself. It's as if my chest was being torn apart, but it didn't matter. It had to be done, and I did it anyway. So, and so I think that you can go along with tradition as long as it doesn't make you unhappy and doesn't infringe on your freedom. Of course, they go hand in hand. If it's infringing on your freedom, you're unhappy. So as a truth lover, you cannot live with unhappiness. You can live with difficult situations, but you cannot live with unhappiness. Because if you live with unhappiness, you maintain it. You maintain it not just in your life, but you maintain it in the entire space. You are acknowledging unhappiness. You're saying yes to unhappiness, and that's the wrong choice. Now, often we are very concerned about our family's opinion of ourselves. How they're going to judge us. I, for one, in my family, which was a very tight-knit family, I broke the norms. I violated the code in a way. And it was very interesting to notice, some members of my family sort of shunning me. I was a bad guy, and others who shared with me that, wow, that was really a bold thing to do. It somehow inspired them. They recognized something there that was within them, but they were afraid to acknowledge, but they could acknowledge it through my action, my behavior. But it didn't matter much to me, my path, and I'm speaking because I think it might be significant for you has been from more and more feeling and believing that the family was everything to more and more freedom, joy, truth, and happiness, which is of course universal, it's never personal, is what matters. So over time, the power of the family psychologically within me has diminished, and God's power has augmented. There are some cultures where gossip in the family is rampant, and gossip in the community, in the tribe, in the society is rampant, and this gossip has a lot of power over us. But sooner or later you have to, I don't give a damn about the gossip, you have to adopt. Screw the gossip. Who cares about the gossip? They can gossip all they want, because what they're gossiping about is not what I am. They're gossiping about their ideas, their images, their feelings, their own personal incapacity to remain still. Instead, they want to put the finger out there to somebody out there is wrong. Somebody out there is the bad guy, the bad daughter, the bad son, and all of that is complete ignorance. Sooner or later, you have to stop buying into that model, because it's corrupt. It's not loving. You know, the whole thing about I love you if and when. I love you if you are such and such a daughter, or I love you if you behave in this way or that way. What sort of love is that? I mean, I don't care if it's my mother's love or my father's love. That's no excuse. You can hide behind being my mother or my father or my brother or my sister. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Your conditions upon myself, your conditions. And you have to also watch in yourself, your conditions that you place on them, and your conditions you place onto yourself as the good daughter or the whatever, whatever images and corrupt positions you take about yourself. So it's a condition that's been given to you to explore. It was given to me, and it was a very powerful thing in my life. At a certain point in my life, it was very significant.
So just going back to love, and you spoke about this yesterday, but I have confusion about it. About love. So for one is like, I grew up, it's like, this is your family, this is your dad, you have to love them no matter what. And like, again, like, you tolerate whatever because this is your family and you gotta stick together. And also like love in the sense of like approval, like what you mentioned, like you show up in the way that we approve of, we love you. You don't show up with the way we approve of, we don't love you, and we don't want anything to do with you.
Yes. Love is what we are. It's not like I love you and you love me. I love my daughter and my son. That's not. It's much beyond that. When love is discriminatory, I love you more today than yesterday because you were a good girl today, or I love you but I don't love him, or I love you more than him or her, or more than her. That's not love. That's a parody of love. That's a caricature of love. Don't be so concerned about the caricature of love or about the parody of love. Love is your parents love you, you love your parents, we all are love, we love everybody. I mean, deep down, we love everybody. I say deep down because of the belief that I am this person, a belief that I am this person, that I'm a separate consciousness. That's the veil. That's the surface layer. That's a layer of ignorance. That's why I'm saying deep down, we love everybody. Who would wish harm onto anybody? It doesn't matter who it is. Love is truth. So in terms of, in the family, love is a blackmail tool. It's, I'm just, okay, not across the board. Okay, I agree that it's not true for everybody. Sometimes, but sometimes love is a blackmail tool. It's being used. Love for truth is more noble than love for your family or for your mother, whatever. Love for truth. Love of freedom. And freedom is across the board. It's not my freedom. It's love of freedom, which is honoring freedom. It's God-given freedom. Love of, in love, we are listening. We're open. We're not imposing. We are transparent in love. We're not like, this is my position. Let me see. If it lines up with your position, then there is love because your position and my position line up. That's a different thing, you say. So you have to come to this understanding. And of course, if you come to this understanding and this understanding resonates for you, then you have to live as much as possible according to the understanding that resonates for you. We all have our conditioning. But if you live your conditioning, if everybody lives their conditioning, it'll be a disaster because our conditioning is based on the sense of separation. So the few of us, hopefully many, I don't know, those of us who can rise beyond their conditioning to go to the higher self, meaning to go to the self that we all are performing a service for all of humanity. It's not just for yourself, for your personal happiness. And you're also doing a service to your family. Whether they comprehend it or not doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I think as you were talking, like I was noticing what love meant for me, and it was like openness. Like for example, coming to this meeting, there's an openness, there's like I like being here. But then so it's not so much like I care for certain, like I care. I want people to be happy, or I want my family members to be happy, but I don't necessarily like experience joy when I'm in their presence, or I don't necessarily want to be in their presence. And so then I think that I don't love them.
You see, like you say about being here now, being the openness, you mentioned the openness. Yeah. Openness it's always there. It's like the wide open sky is always there. When there is a storm and dark clouds and everything like that, it seems that there is no openness. But in fact, even these dark clouds, they're arising in the openness. So the openness is always there. Now, also, in the openness, there are, you know, there is a relationship with your parents that you don't enjoy. So you're perceiving that experience, that these thoughts, these sensations, these feelings are arising to you. They're arising within this openness. I just want you to sort of make a note of that, that even this situation that you're describing with your family is arising within the openness. This does not mean that you're enjoying that. If you are out and there is a storm and it starts raining and it's raining on your head, you have no umbrella, you're going to get soaked. And if it's cold, you're not going to enjoy that. So it doesn't mean that you enjoy the situation that is arising, but all situations arise in the openness. Having said that, you can explore in your relationship with your family ways of distancing yourself from the dynamics that are unhappy. First, you cannot go along with conditions that are unhappy. I mean, it's a little tricky because sometimes people react in ways that are not so happy. But it doesn't matter. They can react in unhappy ways about certain decisions you make, certain behavior of yours. To be careful that you don't get swayed back in their, by their emotions. They are responsible for their emotions. Your mom, your dad, your sisters, whatever, your brothers, your cousins. They are responsible for their emotions. It's not your business to live to make them happy, you see. Of course, at the same time, if you're living in a community, there's some things you have to tolerate because you can't score every point. Sometimes you sort of ignore it. You have to find your way about it. There's no formula. It's because it's life. But sometimes we're scared of how will they feel, if I don't go along with. And that fear that we have maintains us. It keeps us from stepping into the light.
Yeah, it's like the loyalty, like I gotta be loyal.
Well, you're not being disloyal, but you are loyal to that which makes sense, you see.
Yeah.
If you are a member of a family of thieves, okay, and yes, and you realize that that's not the way that resonates for you. So you cannot be loyal with that anymore, you see. You're still loyal to your family as your family. Loyal meaning you still, you're still their daughter, their sister, But you're not loyal with certain actions, you know. You're not going to be part of that, support that activity any longer. But you will join them for dinner. you will join them for, I don't know, sitting around the fire, but not for stealing. So, your happiness is not a commodity that is in their hand. You know what I mean? You are responsible for your happiness. And of course, to respect the others. I'm not talking about at any cost. No. We are in relationship, in community. So you also have to respect the others. But you don't compromise your happiness for somebody else to run it for you.
Yeah, it's like loyalty is like attachment and being invested and being invested in there.
Be loyal to truth. Be loyal to truth. Be loyal to peace and happiness. And it's never personal. Maybe you start that it seems to be personal, then you realize that in fact it's not. Let's be loyal to that. Be loyal to truth. Be loyal to being, you know, that's been given to you, meaning awareness. I'm not talking about your mom delivering a baby girl. You know, your mom is just a freaking instrument. All body minds are instruments. You are not, you are awareness, your consciousness, your beingness. You know, I am. Not I am Amna. I'm talking about it's just pure I am. The pure I. I refers to presence, awareness, presence. Yes. So you've got to be true to that. That which was, it wasn't given to you by your mom. Right?
Yeah.
I was given to you by I. Awareness is its own source. Anything that the creator creates is made out of the creator. The creation is made out of the creator. The reality of the creation is the creator. So be truthful to that. Be loyal to that. And so being loyal to that meaning to explore the true significance of I, the true, what I refers to. Because before you say, I am Amna, you say I, right? When you say, I am Amna, first you say I, and then you say, I am. So explore I am. Then there is Amna. I am Amna. First, I am. And then Amna. Amna is the body, the daughter, the sister, whatever. That's purely mechanical. You cannot have the mechanical aspect of your life violate the source. And the source, I am, is its own truth, its own reality. And there is no other reality but the reality of being. It's impersonal, it's universal. Meaning it is complete freedom, complete love, complete happiness, because there are no opposites. There are no opposites to consciousness. So you cannot have your body mind, the Amna aspect of your life, to violate the happiness and the freedom of the I am. You follow?
I think so.
So you have to, in a way, that's one of the aspects of the human experience. The human experience is not just about eating, sleeping, buying cars and having children and traveling around the world. That's banal. That's not the significance of the human experience. That's just one aspect of the human experience, to enjoy and celebrate and have a good meal and so on. But the most important aspect of the human experience is to align the human experience with reality, with truth.
I question my sincerity sometimes.
What's sincerity? I mean, sincerity
Like
for
sincerity
what?
when it comes to realizing the truth.
Well, I don't question it. I don't question it much because I've known you for a while now, and from my perspective, I feel that you're it's a topic that interests you. So maybe questioning your own sincerity might be part of the journey. At some point, we have the me, this personal me, the spin in the spin of the story, my story. The thought may arise and a feeling may arise. Gee, I question my sincerity. But you are walking the walk, meaning you're showing up, you're exploring, you're posing questions, you're inquiring, you're looking, you're listening. That's my experience of it. So I would trust walking the walk much more than talking the talk. So these thoughts question my sincerity, they appear and disappear. Don't worry about it. Don't make a big deal out of these thoughts that say I question my sincerity, because these thoughts are trying to pull you back into the me Amna. It's because it's not Amna who really is interested in truth. It is the truth within Amna that is interested in itself.
Thank you.
Okay. So any questions?
Actually, can I get clarification on another thing?
Yes, I'm not.
You, at one point you said, if you live with unhappiness, you maintain it.
Yes.
Could you say more about that, please?
Well, unhappiness is the root of unhappiness is the me, what's happening to me, how am I doing, regrets about yesterday, hopes about tomorrow. So it's this aspect of our experience where I am this person and I'm happy when I get what I want. I'm happy when I'm loved. I'm happy when I win the lottery. I'm happy when I have a great experience. I'm happy when I have a great meal. So it's about the body mind. And happiness and unhappiness, the way we understand it, which is a wrong understanding, is that it belongs to the body mind. So we experience unhappiness whenever we assume the position, whether we are aware of it or not, that I am this person. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a great guy, a great teacher, I mean, great, whatever. Whenever we are identified with the body-mind, we experience unhappiness. Why? Because the body-mind is in constant state of flux. And above all, body-mind has one destiny, which is the body's going to die at some time, at some point. So there is the seed, the thorn of mortality. As soon as you are identified with the body-mind, there is unhappiness due to the thorn of mortality, meaning the fear of ending is there in the background. The other aspect of unhappiness is the sense of limitation. That as a person, as a son, as a daughter, as somebody, it's a limited self, meaning it's incomplete, it's lacking. So another aspect of the unhappiness is the sense of lack, the desire, with desiring. The desiring is connected to the sense of lack, because the desire can fulfill, hopefully, if I get what I'm desiring, then my sense of lack will come to an end. But we know that's not true, because the sense of lack doesn't end with getting what you want, because the sense of lack is rooted not in lacking something. It is rooted in the belief that I'm a limited self. So you can give the sense of lack all sorts of things. You can give it $1 million, you can give it a Maserati, you can give it greatest food, you can give it unending sexual experiences, you can give it great traveling around the world in a balloon, whatever you can give it. The sense of lack will not come to an end, because it is not about objects. That's the mistaken understanding about the sense of lack. The sense of lack has a root that is within it, which is the belief that I am limited, that I am born, and therefore limited, and so therefore lacking. Anything that's limited is not the totality, is not the wholeness. And we experience a sense of lack because there is a falsehood in being a separate self. We know deeply within ourselves that we are consciousness, that we are eternal, that we are what I think Ramana Maharshi used to refer to as the self, that we are Brahman, that we are, in religious circles we say God or whatever, the words doesn't matter. We know that we are the eternal presence, this infinite, invisible reality of consciousness. And because of this knowledge deep within us, the sense of self stands in contradiction with our inner being, with our inner knowingness. Because if there was no contradiction, we would be perfectly happy with the sense of lack. I forgot your question. I'm sorry, what was your question?
I just had a whoa. You said, I don't remember what you just said, but it was like, if there wasn't a contradiction, we would be content with the sense of lack?
Yes.
Or happy?
Yes, because if the sense of lack was truth, we would have no issue with that. We would be happy. Wow, gee, I'm missing everything today. Wow, it feels so good. I'm so happy. I cannot tell you how much things I'm desiring right now. Wow, it feels so good. Because if it was truth, if the sense of lack was truth, meaning in a harmony with reality, if it's based on truth, on reality, we would be perfectly happy with the sense of lack. Right? I mean,
I never thought about that. That makes sense. My question was, you mentioned, like you said, if you live with unhappiness, you maintain it.
Oh yes, yeah. yes. So unhappiness is the belief that I am Magdi, that I'm a man, that I'm somebody, somebody, father, mother, that I am this body mind, you see. And that's unhappiness. Maintaining unhappiness, meaning to live from that belief, from that position. In other words, we're not contemplating this position. We're basically saying that's the model, that's the correct model, that's truth. And so we're living from that truth, the truth being that we are separate selves. I am this mortal body mind, you are this mortal body mind, etc. So therefore, I'm living in, oh my goodness, let me see, what can I get now? Oh, I can get this from him, from her. Yeah, if I get together with this guy and with that gal, we could track, we can grab those goodies from that. We are in the mind trying to protect our sense of separation, protect our personhood, aggrandize our personhood, trying to get the greatest, the healthiest body, the most beautiful partners, the most beautiful homes, etc. We would be constantly in the seeking and the resisting. So when we don't question, we don't inquire into truth, then we are operating from the model that's already programmed within us, the download. We're operating from the model that I am a person, that I'm a separate self, that I am this limited consciousness. Consciousness depends on this body mind, that it is this body mind is consciousness. And all my actions are maintaining that position and operating from that position. So you never get off that platform, which is a platform of separation, a platform of unhappiness. So this is why I say when you're operating from unhappiness, you are maintaining it. But when you are contemplating what is the nature of this unhappiness, to understand the process, you can understand the process. And once you understand the process, it becomes clear to you what the process of unhappiness is and what is awareness, what is consciousness. You start to comprehend that. You will find that there are possibilities for you to take a different direction, to work from a different position. And rather than operating from, I am this person, you operate from just presence as presence, which already is there, which knows the direction, which is the direction of peace and happiness and love, which is always for everybody involved, but never compromises itself. In other words, truth never makes a compromise with untruth.
Could you give an example?
Well, when a thought arises here that, Jim, Joe, or Mary, they wronged me, they're not honorable people, etc., for example, which is a judgment. The truth doesn't recognize that. Meaning, I being awareness, universal awareness, not personal awareness. I see that thought and I say falsehood. I cannot exist with this falsehood. It's either the falsehood or I. Either I am Magdi, the guy who's been wronged, and Joe, Bill, Mary, or whoever have wronged me, or I, presence, awareness, consciousness, I'm universal. Universal meaning that the thoughts that arise to me here, they're arising to the same consciousness than the thoughts that are arising to you there. Therefore, the I here and the I there is the same I. How could I wrong I if it's the same I? It can only be a story where I is I1 and the other I is I2, two separate I's. It can only be the belief of separation, the feeling of separation, the sense of separation that buys into, yes, I1 has wronged I2. A has wronged B, etc. So you cannot have both on the same deck, truth and untruth. Truth cannot compromise to untruth. Once you have an understanding about truth, you have to do your best not to compromise, not to leave your understanding to go back to the old model of what have they done to me, what have I done to them, when will they love me, when will I love them, etc. Within truth, there is no judgment because reality is one. It's one. But from the perspective of the separate self, from the perspective of good and bad, I am good and you are bad, and we are good and they're bad, from that perspective, there is good and bad. And we live either in the camp of good and bad or in the camp of truth and reality.
Thank you.
And so we have the capacity to make the right choice, or we have the capacity to choose whichever way we want to choose. Whenever you are saying yes to unhappiness, you are maintaining it. And you're not just maintaining it within yourself, you're maintaining it in the entire space. Whenever you say yes to an unhappiness in your relationship with your family, you are maintaining their unhappiness. Although they think that, oh, you are the cause of their unhappiness. You are not. There is no external cause to unhappiness, because there is the external cause to unhappiness is a way of trying to escape looking within oneself, because the entire process of unhappiness is within your capacity to comprehend it, to see it, to perceive it, to understand it. But it's easier for us to say, you are the problem. And when you say you are the problem, whoever is saying that isn't interested in really looking at that moment. They're not interested at that moment. Well, that's how it is. But we don't buy into it. If we understand, we don't buy into it. In other words, we don't buy into that, oh yeah, I have wronged them. I am the bad guy, or they are the bad guy. Because if I am the bad guy or they are the bad guy, then I have bought in that false model of problem is out there. Unhappiness is the result of something happening out there that's impinging upon me being this man or woman, which is not what you are.
Thank you.
Okay, Amna. Any questions?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Hey, Bill. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
hi.
Bill. Hey.
Thank you, Amna, for going into this with us. This is a lot on my mind recently, especially this idea of family, which for me can be has been a very heavy or a false concept. Like you are my cousin, you are my wife, you are this or that. And in particular, I had a very combative or ugly finale to a long running situation with a cousin, in which I thought, in the way that Amna was pointing to, that there's this obligation to show up for, indulge, go along with someone because they're family. And I did this for many years, 15 years or something, you know, and because this is my family, and I'm going to be a good guy. Right. And it's what comes to mind is that, you know, when we get the telemarketing phone calls, and they even have, and people like to retaliate. Like when they play games with a telemarketer and they drag it out. They even have software now that'll answer for you and drag the guy along.
I see.
You know,
okay.
So it'll go on and on and on. You know, hold the guy up. and the idea is like, well, you know, I'm giving him what he deserves.
Right.
You know, kind of what I did with my cousin. You know, and what it really required when I first encountered this situation so many years ago was, no, thank you. I'm not buying. Goodbye. That's what the situation required. And it's only come to me after 15 years that would have been truthful to show up as what I'm interested in, what I'm willing to discuss or be or act as. And it's in that there's a lovingness in that no, that I was afraid to exercise. And it just dragged it out. Mm-hmm. It caused so many problems because my cousin.
Yeah, it's like we're not meeting for real, you know what I mean? It's like we just, I wave my flag, he waves his flag, and I wave my flag, and he waves his flag. It's, I mean, the main thing for me is like, what is my flag? I don't have a flag to wave. I don't want to wave a flag because I don't want to belong to under any flag. So sometimes, you know, the blue flag maintains a red flag, and the red flag maintains a blue flag. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine, like, you know, when you drop your flag, then the red flag is like, it loses its significance in a way. Well, more or less, but. And sometimes we're sort of like repeating, you know, I know, like, often in my family gatherings, it's like you have like a set of, you come to the gathering and you have your, you know, your little bag there with all your CDs, like in the old days, you know, and you're sort of playing them. You're repeating the old tunes. And somehow, like, sometimes in a conversation, somebody's sharing something with you, it's as if, you know, they're expecting you, or maybe sometimes I'm feeling that they're expecting me to sort of be a player in a way. And when you're not a player, well, when you're not party of the tune that they're singing, then if you sing a different tune, now they're in a position where either they're willing to sort of let go of their tune and go along with your tune, or hold on to their tune, and now they're singing their tune and you're singing your tune. Or it doesn't interest you to sing your tune because you're just not interested in their tune, and then you move on. So all sorts of dynamics, you know, and sometimes they're powerful. It's like it's the me aspect, you know. Somehow I have an identity that I'm hold on to, even if it's in my sleeve, but there is an identity that I'm holding on to in my interaction. And so all identities, in a way, they're dividing, and they're not true in that. That's not what the reality of our experience as awareness, as presence is. There's no identity to that. It doesn't need to be supported by any position or ideas or beliefs or feelings. Or so in a way, you know, the reality of our experience, awareness, consciousness, not being beyond identity, is open to the entire realm of experience without unhappiness. That, oh, that's how my cousin is. Interesting. Wow. Well, I wish you the best. I mean, I hope you're happy. I mean, what else would I want to wish you? I mean, I wish it to anybody. I hope you're happy. I mean, the thing is that every position that we take, there is support for it. Because the support for our position is ideas and beliefs and other people supporting it. But the only thing that is absolute in our experience, that is verifiable in our experience, is not our thoughts, our beliefs, or our feelings, because they're constantly changing. The only thing that is verifiable across the time, day or night, is awareness, is the reality of awareness. And that is not a male awareness or a female awareness. It's not a cousin's awareness or a brother's awareness or a mother's awareness. It's just, it's that you can take to the bank. But everything else, heck, it's in your wallet one day, it's gone the next. And most often we live out of our feelings, our thoughts, our opinions, what's happening, there is this that happened, that happened. We may have a certain feeling, then something else happens and we change, our emotions, our feelings change. Most often we're living from that, from the separate self. And it's turbulent, it's very turbulent. And it's separate. So there are all these camps. I found that when I get together with family, which is not often now, is just enjoying seeing them moving around and talking, chit-chatting, and it's nice, very nice. And it all dissolves in the space, But very clear that the reality of this I is the reality of my brother, your reality, the reality of all of us. So as that reality, we're all one. As the reality of consciousness, we're all one. So that's so, it's nothing lacking in that. It's so complete. And in a way, one could say that's, in a relative way of speaking, that's where we all meet. That's where we all really, that's where we really are connected, as this one consciousness. It's just the same presence. Irrespective of the images on the screen. Images on the screen, they change from minute to minute to minute. It's okay. Well, lovely to be with you all. Nice to see you, Bill. Please say hello to Raz from me. Okay.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Yeah. All right. And I'm now. Hey, Zoe, George. Hey, Doug. Yes. John. And Ken. Okay. Thank you all. Okay.
Thank you.